Welcome to episode 410 of the Geeks for the Win podcast, the tech and gaming podcast from the GeeksFTW.com, where we cover all things geeky. I'm your host, William McDonald, and I'm joined with my co-host, Stuart.
Known across the internet as Casual.
I mean, we've got a long episode, I think, this week of
Possibly.
Movies and TV.
No, who knows? That might be an hour long. We don't know. No, it won't
man,
be. It won't be.
Yeah, I don't think so. I got some stuff to talk about. But I think you've got more than I do, Stuart. So how about you go first?
Okay. Well, I've spent a lot of the last couple weeks. Whoops. Let me find the right place. There we go. Watching stuff, as well as rewatching a bunch of stuff. So some of the stuff I'm going to talk about, I've talked about in the past, and I'm just going to talk about it again, just because I want to.
Okay.
Like, for instance, one of the only things that's not actually anime that I'm going to talk about is another thing that I'm rewatching. I've been watching Stargate again. I saw news a couple weeks ago about me possibly a new Stargate series. I was like, oh, yay. I was like, I'm going to watch Stargate again. So that's what I've been doing. And I'm already, and let's just say, I started rewatching it less than a week ago, and I'm already on the third season.
Show holds up better than it should.
It does. It really does.
I watched it for the first time, I think, this past year. So I didn't have
last year or over a year
nostalgia.
ago. I think it was a little more than a year ago. But
was it? I thought it was okay. Wasn't that much longer? It was between
last
1 to 2
year
years.
was, as many people say, it was the longest and shortest years of everybody's life. So
yeah.
But yeah, it totally holds up. Some of the special effects not so much, but story wise, it's a damn good show. That yeah. And in fact, it was, and I stumbled across this, a short kind of, not quite documentary, but just talking about the history of Stargate, not like lore wise, but like as a show itself. Like how did the show go from, this somewhat mediocre movie to this epic TV series? And it was quite fascinating, just because it happened with a couple writers who were working on Outer Limits, who were just so fascinated with the world that was made in that movie that they wanted to expand upon it. And
the movie doesn't hold up as much as the show.
Not so much. I watched the movie first, and then I watched the show. The movie doesn't quite hold up. But yeah, and funny enough, I got to talk about one episode that I got a chuckle out of, that I don't think I would have gotten a chuckle out of at any other time except for like right now. I think it happens in season 2, where SG-1 is taken captive, and they're what appears to them revived many years later in the SGC, and like they're being lied to, like what can you tell us about, how much do you know about the Gould, and how what species, has this technology to be able to freeze you? Oh, so who's powerful enough to stop the Gould? Kind of a who do we need to worry about kind of situation. And the year that they said they woke up in was 2077. I was like, I wouldn't have gotten a chuckle at any other time except for like right now. Like, okay, yeah, ahead of your time, making 2077 jokes. But like, really, what I say, what like they're ahead of the time. At the time of like the first, couple seasons shooting, women in the military were not allowed to be on the front lines. So having Samantha Carter being on the front lines was something that was not even done in the actual military until years later. So like they were ahead of their time, and stuff like that.
And she's like touted to being like one of the smartest like people like on that in that show /
yes
shows, not just that show, but like the other iterations.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely good when it comes to that type of, like empowering women, type of stuff.
Yeah, and of course, this is an edited version. So the worst line in sci-fi history has been cut out. Because you saw it later, and I'm sure we talked about it when you watched it. The first episode, when Samantha Carter is introduced as a character, and Jack and Kowalski and Ferretti were all kind of making fun of the fact that she's a woman. She says the line, and just because my reproductive organs are on the inside instead of the out, it doesn't mean I can't handle it.
That line on the show before.
Yes, because they made fun of it themselves later.
Okay, gotcha.
But the fact that the first time that line was spoken was cut out, I feel like the joke that they make later, because they make fun of it twice actually. They make fun of it during the episode where they do puppets, and they make fun of it when they do an alternate history where like Samantha Carter didn't join the military, and she's actually this meek person working for NASA whose boss is stealing her work and claiming it as his own, and she's like,
okay, yeah,
like rehearsing a speech in her head to telling off her boss, and she says it then. But like the joke is totally lost that line was actually spoken in the first episode and was made fun of completely.
Okay.
So, but Stargate is such a good show, and I want more. And there's still like, I've barely watched Stargate Universe because it's such a departure from the first two series that I'm like, I can't. And I still have yet to watch Origins. I don't know what's stopping me from watching Origins, but I haven't watched it.
Origins is just it's the origin story of what's her name.
It's a mini series, but apparently there is Gould in it.
But it's the one lady who discovered like all the stuff from
Catherine. Yeah, it's
Catherine. Yeah, it's her story.
It's either her or her father. I don't know which. I know like the first 3 episodes are combined into like a somewhat of a movie called Catherine. But it's not. But I'm not sure if it's actually just her story alone or not, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's 10 episodes, so it's not that much of a mini series, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you haven't seen, if nobody's ever seen Stargate who's listening, watch Stargate. It's good. It's on both Netflix and on Amazon Prime. I recommend the Amazon Prime version just because it's widescreen. And I did a comparison like, okay, it's widescreen and the Netflix version is 4:3. Which one cut it? Like which one chopped stuff off? Okay, it's the Netflix version. They cut off the corners. They cut off the edges to fit the 4:3 airing style back then. But full screen is on Amazon. Plus you get X-ray, which I love X-ray.
Yeah, Amazon tends to like, for older stuff like that, they tend to have like the best versions. Like, was it when Farscape got remastered? They had that's where I watched it from. I mean, that's the reason why I watched it was because it got remastered in HD and put up on Amazon. So yeah, Amazon's definitely good when it comes to the quality for their shows.
Yeah.
For their content. Yeah.
But yeah, we're watching that. That's now my show in the background at the moment.
Gotcha.
What about you? What have you been watching?
Well, Stargate Universe.
Oh, really?
Oh,
that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yep. Funny enough, because I watched what was it? Yeah, and like it has to be like it hasn't even been 2 years. It has to have been like a year and a half to a year ago when I watched Stargate, and then I watched Atlantis. I watched Atlantis. I took a break and watched Atlantis like probably a month or so after finishing Stargate. Just because Stargate's like 10 seasons, so
right.
After watching that a bunch, but and you told me like Stargate Universe wasn't really that great or whatever, so I never got around to it.
I didn't say it was that great. It's different. It's such a different show from the first two. That's why fans of the first two did not latch on to Universe because it was so different.
I liked it. I finished it. It has 2 seasons of it.
Don't get me wrong, but it's more of a human versus human aspect, right? There's no aliens in it. It's all just them against each other, right? Because that's really what I remember.
I mean, there's some internal struggles, but for the most part, it's they were Stargate base or whatever. It's like one of the main characters is like a young adult kid, college kid type age kid or whatever, and he like solves this like Stargate puzzle or whatever in a game, and then the next day
well, if I'm remembering right, the game he's shown playing was the unreleased Stargate MMO.
That's possible. Yeah.
No, like they were working on an MMO, like in real life. They're working on an MMO for Stargate, and what he has shown playing is that MMO.
Yeah, because there was like a Stargate thing in that he was playing or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, him the next day, hey, knock at the door, you solved this. This was an actual thing, and it turns out to be like for the 9th chevron. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah,
right?
That's what they're called.
Yeah, and it was for like the 9th chevron or whatever, and it was like this thing that they've been trying to discover for the long, which I'm like, okay, really? 9th chevron? That's good, because wasn't like the 8th chevron like such a mysterious thing like in the original Stargate towards the end of that?
Well, they made it make sense like when they first did like the 8th chevron as like, okay, how they like the
different star systems,
the
right?
The dialing system it's all about like they equate it to dialing a phone, and then the eighth one is the area code. So okay, you're going to a different area code. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. A ninth one doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that it felt kind of like, okay, you're just adding on to this so you can extend, but whatever. Well, they're on this like this world or whatever that has like the the power requirements or whatever somehow to do it or whatever, and then they start to get attacked, and then they have to like just go through it or whatever, dial and go through the Stargate, and they end up going on this like they end up getting on this ship, and it's like way far away from Earth, and there's no way for them to dial Earth because there's no way for them to like. I think there's like no way for them to like have the power requirements or whatever because the ship they're on is like seems really old, and it's like it turns out to be like an ancient ship, I think, from the ancients, and it's on like a journey to like it's on like a set path course or whatever, and they can't like stop it or whatever, and so it goes to like FTL, and then and then it'll like stop for a certain amount of time, and then whatever. But yeah, it's mostly about them trying to figure out what to do, like how to maybe get home or just survive because they're on this ship, and they're like, oh, we only because when they were getting attacked, they were able to like bring some supplies, but not that much. So they're just like, okay, our first course of action is we need to figure out how to kind of turn the life support on because we're going to run out of oxygen in like a day. So we got to do this or, and stuff like it's stuff like that where they're like slowly trying to like figure out how to, to survive, whether it's like, just fixing the oxygen or the life support, the O2 scrubbers, it's called. And then, and they do go to other planets and stuff like that where they're like,
right. But there's not,
when they're out of
not any aliens in it though. But there's not any aliens in it though, right?
Not necessarily, but there are like humanoids.
Okay.
Like other human, like
gotcha.
Not necessarily humans, but human looking characters.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then they also come across the like what was it those like those like the like drones that kill, they were for that war or whatever,
the
and then the war ended and they were the replicators. Yeah, they do come up against those and from time to time and other stuff like that. What was it? What's that other faction that they battled? Like the terrorist group or they were kind of touted as.
Oh, NID? Wait.
I think so, yeah.
Are you talking about
they were trying to do their like own Stargate stuff and all this and that, like
in NID with like Mayborn and Senator Kelly.
Yeah, I believe that's the group that's in it, and from time to time and stuff like that. The only like way they can like contact Earth is they have like those stones or whatever where they're able to like swap bodies with people. Okay. Apparently that works. Like apparently the range on that works, so they're able to do that and stuff like that. And but yeah, it's good. I enjoy it. The main scientist dude is the guy who played Rumpelstiltskin, yeah. Which is very weird for me to see because I watched that this past year, Once Upon a Time. And yeah, but it's good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. The ending was good. The ending was good. You know, it's tough to like end a show, especially like when you only get like 2 seasons or whatever. And I think they did a pretty good job with the ending. You know, but it's good. I would definitely recommend watching it. It's not necessarily like the whole Stargate thing, but you know, it's definitely a branch, you know, from Stargate, but you know, they do use the Stargate stuff, but it just happens to be they're on a ship as well. So you do get like the space travel and the kind of problems and obstacles you get with traveling on a ship, as well as the typical, hey, we're going to Stargate and then we're going to send these drones out to see if the planet is, you know, if there's breathable oxygen and all this and that, and if it's safe and stuff like that. And they have some interesting episodes too, like some of the tropes, you know, like there's a time loop episode, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And some stuff like that, you know, some other stuff like that sci-fi shows typically have, you know, or science fiction shows typically have.
Stargate episodes have had.
Yeah.
The time loop episode in SJSG one is like one of the best episodes.
And there's appearances from, you know, some of the original Stargate SG1 characters.
Sure.
And then I think, was it McKay from Atlantis?
Mm-hmm.
I think he makes an appearance as well. So, you know, it is in the same universe, obviously. So it's always good to see, you know, them connect the shows when they have spin-offs and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. One of the news bit that I saw about Stargate that made me rewatch to get in was that Roland Emmerich, who directed the first one, wants to do Stargate 2 that ignores everything. That ignores the entire series, all the shows. It is a direct sequel to his first movie.
That's weird.
I'm like, how about you don't? How about you don't do that? He said either that or a reboot. Like, how about you don't do that either?
I don't know. Yeah, just give us another show. Like,
just.
It's been long enough. Like,
see, when did Universe end?
I mean, I guess if you're counting the origins and stuff like that, I mean, not necessarily, you know.
10 years. Okay, so it's been 10 years.
So didn't that Origins come out like a few years ago?
2018.
Yeah. So, but that's like its own thing, like we were saying.
Yeah.
It was about like Catherine and that era, you know.
Yeah, it takes place in like the 50s.
But yeah, I thought it was it's just funny. Your first thing was Stargate, and I'm like, oh, I'm always watching some Stargate.
That's
but universe.
Just so what a coincidence! Like really is.
Yeah. Because, you know, I was just looking for something sci-fi, you know, to watch, and it's like, well, I haven't watched Universe, and you know, I could give it a couple episodes at least to see how it is, and I rather enjoyed it. So,
okay.
Alrighty, what else you got?
One of the other things that I have rewatched is this is anime. The Disastrous Life of Psyche K. I've rewatched this a couple times because I so enjoy this show. It's kind of a slice of life, but the main character is like the most powerful psychic of all time. And he just wants to live his life as a normal just student without drawing any attention at all. The only thing is, he can read minds. He knows exactly what everybody's thinking. And all of the characters basically around him are basically main characters for other genres of anime.
I think I've watched this. Sounds familiar.
Like you got the one character who kind of desperately wants to be the main character of an anime. So he he's got like his hands all wrapped up and like, oh yes, no, I've got to keep my hand wrapped up and hidden from the dark resistance. And he's that type of person. He's definitely the type of person who would Naruto run in gym class because it makes him run faster. He's that type of person. And then you got the perfect girl, she's so beautiful and everybody just loves her and she's so perfect. And in her mind is like, of course, because I'm just going to brighten your day just by being in your presence. I am just so perfect in that way. Yeah, she would be, your romance anime main character. Then you got then you got the sports guy who is, all about giving it your all to everything you got. And he's that type of person. So it's a very funny show. And I enjoy it immensely. And like I said, he the main character Psyche, he reads everybody's minds, and he can teleport. He's got telekinesis. He can morph into animals. He can basically do everything.
Morphing into animals, that doesn't seem psychic related.
Well,
okay. It's an anime, so yeah.
Well, it's really funny because anime hair, how it's always such odd colors, green, blue, pink, orange, with different odd colors. Well, according to the anime, he's like, when I was born, everybody's hair was black except for mine. For some reason it was pink. So I changed everybody's DNA. So now an odd colored hair is totally normal. So I don't stand out. Oh, okay.
Okay. That is odd.
So it's like, and you know how, he just got hit in the face with a brick and now he's totally fine. Yeah, I did that too. Like, okay. So like the anime cartoon tropes, it explains that he changed the world to fit that for some reason. To hide the fact that he is psychic. I think there are 3 episodes, but only the first season is dubbed. And I blame Netflix for that because the first season was on Funimation, and then Netflix bought the streaming rights and did not take over and doing any dubbing.
Oh, that sucks.
So only the first season is dubbed. But okay. What have you got now?
Let's see which one I want to go with. Okay, another sci-fi show I started watching that I always meant to, but never got around to. Battlestar Galactica. Um, which is funny. The funny thing is, I watched the prequel show Caprica when it was out, but I never watched the actual Battlestar Galactica until just recently. Um, this show is weird. I was it's about like you know the humans created the Cylons and then they revolted or whatever like that. When you first watch I think it's like the movie special, or that's like the first couple episodes, or before the actual series. It's like, hey, the humans create the Cylons, and then the Cylons revolted, and then they went away and whatever. And it's like now they're apparently coming back,
As humans.
As human, they look, talk like us, all this and that. And the weird thing is that they have religion.
The Cylons do? Okay. Yeah, I've never seen some Battlestar Galactica. So
okay. Oh, yeah.
I've never seen it. So
what's her name? The main chick that's always like in red or whatever. Let me see. She was in I want to say her name's Trisha something. She was in Lucifer and some other stuff.
Katie Sackhoff.
No, that's not her.
Trisha Helfer.
Yeah, her. She's like the main Cylon, whatever, and she like tricks this like genius, like tech genius guy who into like whatever, and ends up like causing this big thing happening that causes the humans to leave whatever planet they're on, because apparently they're not on Earth. And like apparently they were originally from Earth, but like of course the race is from Earth, but humans are from Earth, but apparently nobody remembers Earth or how to get there or anything. It's one of those things. So, but like she's always talking about God and this and that, and just like it's just the weirdest thing. Like there's so much religion from the robots in the show.
That is odd.
It is so odd. And one of the funny things is like the like all the main, like the president and vice president and all those they've been killed, and the next in command is like the secretary or the head of education or something like that, like the person, whoever is in charge of like the education department or what, she's the next in line. And so you've got like someone who clearly isn't necessarily qualified to be like a president figure,
Sure.
trying to make decisions. And you got was it Edward James Olmos is he's like the leader of the military branch. So you've got him, like, he's calls her like a elementary school teacher or whatever, because they butt heads, with trying to decide, because they had to, they had to like leave the planet, and there's like a fleet of ships or whatever that it's like, I think they said like 50,000 people in total. That's the last of the human race. So they're, it's them struggling, and with that, and and also there's like, hey, there's Cylons. We know that we find out there's Cylons like on board, and they look like us, and then the actual like characters are starting to realize and discover that, and you've got that whole like plot point of them discovering and figuring out and can't trust who to trust and stuff like that. And it's just, like I said, it's very weird. I started the second season. There's only, I think there's three, no, there's 4 seasons. I started the second season and I'm just like, I'm going to take a break on this, come back to this, watch a few other stuff. No real rush to get, to get to this, because it is like an older show,
Right.
like 2000, 2005. So it's very weird. Like I was saying, because like I said, they go deep into religion and stuff like that. The Cylons, like,
it's
just,
I wasn't expecting that.
Bizarre. Yeah,
like there are some stuff that I know just through existing on the internet about Star Galactica, but that's not one that I heard.
Yeah, and was it Katie Sackhoff? She's the spunky rebel pilot, where it's like she's the best pilot, and no one's better than her, and she has an attitude because she is the best pilot, so she can get away with stuff. And
yeah, and from what I know, her character in the original 70s show was a dude. That's all I know.
Okay. She's good. I like her. I like her in it. She's a fun character. But yeah, it's kind of bizarre, and there's a lot of people like, oh, I remember you were from, what was it? It's like you were from Dollhouse, and you're from that. Like I'm seeing actors and actresses from a lot of older stuff, that happened like right after that type of stuff. Like, what is it? You watched Dollhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was it the main dude, like her original handler dude, or the dude who became her, like love interest guy?
In
Dollhouse, he's in it. Oh, God, what's his name? Was it here's I can't pronounce. I knew I wouldn't be able to pronounce his name right. So I remember he had a name that like I kind of can't pronounce, but yeah, he's in it. And then there's a bunch of other people, in it. Like I said, like Trisha Helfer from, she's like from
Homo Pennicus.
Like I said, Lucifer.
That's how I'm gonna say it.
And then there's someone else. There's a couple people that I'm just like, oh, okay. There's, I recognize those people, but yeah. So it's fascinating, like, but it's just weird at the same time. Like, I will go back and watch this, because I am fascinated to see where it goes, because it is so bizarre, like the robots or the Cylons, they're trying to kill the humans, but yet they're like religious and they believe in God and all this and that. And it's just like, where is this going? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know where this is going. I have no clue. And that's, that's kind of odd. Like, a show like you have no idea where it could go. Like,
right.
As far as this, like, I can't ever remember like a sci-fi show where the robots believe in religion.
Can't either.
Because typically in sci-fi show, there are scientists and they don't believe in religion because, obviously they're scientists. So, there's not a whole lot of religion in sci-fi shows for the most part. You'll get the the one or two characters who's like, oh, the colonel who's tough, badass, but he's definitely believes in religion and luck or, stuff like that. And he butts heads with the scientist dudes who, try to, that kind of, those kind of tropes.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just weird. But yeah, like I said, it's not that it's bad. It's just like, there's other stuff I kind of want to watch right now. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want, I feel like I can just wait and come back to this another time, but
Sure.
I definitely am going to finish this.
Sure.
Just to see where it goes. Like,
hey, Caltex, how's it going? Yeah,
because like I said,
that.
like one of the things is like they're like trying to find Earth, and Earth is this like to a lot of people, Earth is like this fairy tale, which is kind of odd, like,
yeah,
how long ago did they leave if they don't even remember Earth, like,
yeah, I get that.
So yeah. What else have you been or what's another thing you've been watching though?
See, another thing I've been rewatching. This is the last thing I've been rewatching, and I don't know why I started rewatching this. And I started rewatching this yesterday.
Okay.
So I've been rewatching My Hero.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because you know what, it's a good show. I want to rewatch it again.
It is a good show. Yeah, can't argue with that.
So, yeah, honestly, I don't know what else to say about this. I've been rewatching and thoroughly enjoying rewatching My Hero Academia.
Still need to watch the 2 movies.
I need to watch the second one. That's the one I've not seen. Is the second one.
I don't think I've watched the first one. I might have. I need to, but I know for a fact I haven't watched the second one. Yeah.
I think sometime this year is season 5.
That's good.
Yeah, there's been a couple trailers. March comes out in March.
Okay, that's not too far away. Yeah.
So yeah. So next anime season, we'll get season 5. So yay! I've thought about picking up the manga.
Oh really?
I've thought about it, but haven't done it. But yeah, if you haven't seen My Hero Academia, just totally watch it. Really good. It's very Western in its superhero portrayal. It's not like other Japanese interpretations of superheroes. It's got a very Western stance to it, including
very kind of
including
X-Men vibe.
Little X-Men, yeah, including one big character who names his attacks after U.S. states. And that's not just a dub thing. That is, he does that in Japanese too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing. Yeah, he got his start in the U.S. That's why all of his attacks are, Detroit Smash, California Smash, Dakota Smash. They're all named after states.
Yeah, it's just the fascinating thing to me is the fact that like they have agencies and stuff like that where where it's like, oh, you join this team, this agency or this, this group of like, they're all like divided up into groups, it's not just like a free for all type of thing,
Right. And it is kind of just fascinating just like, oh yeah, I got superpowers, but there's also a downside. Especially the main characters. His downside is a fucking doozy.
Oh yeah.
Like being so strong that you break your bones by throwing a punch it was really cool. I've not seen anything like it.
Yeah. It's just like, and some of the powers are very weird and
they're weird,
gross.
but they work. Like, like, oh yeah, I've got tape that comes out of my elbows. Well, that's dumb. Yeah. And then you see him swinging around, lampposts like, oh, you're just Spider-Man. Okay. No, I get that totally. That's cool.
But the boy who's got the sticky balls on his head, or
yeah,
that's pretty weird.
that is weird. But it works. It works. Like when you really see his, because literally, like before we started recording, I watched the episode where he's basically introduced and what his powers is. You see the benefits of his power because it's during that whole attack, during their rescue training by the League of Villains, where where the whole class gets separated, and it's him, Sue, and Deku. They're all on a boat, and so he starts throwing his balls out into the water. And then Deku, kind of flicks his finger and creates a wave in the water that then brings all of the enemies together to get then trapped in his sticky balls. Like, okay, yeah, I mean it works. They get captured and they can't move, so it totally works.
Yeah. It's definitely goofy. Like the a lot of the powers definitely are really goofy and silly, but they make them work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But your initial like thoughts are, that's weird or that's goofy, but then they get into like an episode
genist.
where
a dude who's got a fucking weird costume, but then you see his powers like, oh no, that's actually okay. He controls cloth and can tie up people. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Then you do have like the boring powers where it's like, oh, this guy's really fast or this guy's really strong or.
Yeah, but you don't see a whole lot of those. That's also the thing. Like you don't see a whole lot of those.
Yeah.
Just mundane, regular ass superpowers. It's always something odd.
What's the guy who eats the sugar and turns it into energy, right? Like, or
guy who eats sugar.
I'm not making this up. There's a guy who eats like a lot of sugar. That's his power, right? Like he's able to turn the sugar he eats into something, right?
I think I know who you mean, but I cannot think of. Because he's in class 1A, right?
I believe so.
Like he's actually
Sugar Rush.
Sugar Rush.
On his wiki. Multiply his 5 folds for 30 minutes every 10 grams of sugar he ingests. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No. I know who you mean now. Okay, that's not who I thought you meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, literally the guy eats sugar and he gets strong. Like that sounds so goofy, but like if you really think about it and get into it, like, yeah, that's, sugar is energy. And if you're kind of a mutated like person, your body probably could harness that better than most people. Or I don't like it's just it's like I said, initially some of these quirks are like really goofy and silly, but then they go into detail and you're like, oh, okay, that works. That's kind of cool. That's what I like about the show.
Yeah.
And the villains some of the villains are creepy.
They got some, yeah. Like heck,
Like creepy as in like, not like, bad creepy, but like good creepy, like a good creepy villain, like very evil and creepy.
yeah, like
I do like their villains.
Like the what's his name? Shigaraki. The dude with the hands all over his body. Like his costume is like hands all over his body. Like, dude's creepy as fuck, and his power is horrifying.
Yeah.
And that one chick who can turn into anybody as long as she has their blood. Like she's just insane. She's just insane.
Insane stalker, like, yeah.
And then Twice is my favorite villain. He's the dude with the multiple personalities.
Oh, the Deadpool.
Yes. Like, yes, he is my favorite. He's my favorite guy. Because he is essentially kind of like Deadpool in a way.
He's Deadpool. Yeah. Like
he is Deadpool.
Pretty much Deadpool. Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, it's just good that it's coming back in March.
Yeah. But that's the last thing I rewatched. So everything else I talk about now is new stuff.
Okay. I guess next thing I'll bring up. Finally finished the last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
And I've got to say, this was a good season. It's very weird and bizarre, like, and a little confusing. Maybe some of that's because I spent so long getting around to it, that I kind of was like, I kind of remember what happened previously, the previous season, and trying to catch up, but the whole season's about like the going back in time, like time traveling.
Okay, that makes much more sense on the screenshots I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are them in like 40s or 50s clothes.
Yeah. I think they started out like the 30s or whatever, and then there's like episodes where they're like, they're going to, like, they're trying to stop this like race of that was introduced called, like, I think Chromicons. I think that's the name. And they're like
Comicons, got it.
Kind of these android type creature, or android-ish, like in the series they were just like mostly not like, they were kind of like the Watchers, where they just like watch and they don't really get too involved and stuff like that, with like what happens. And then something happened where something happened to their planet or whatever. So they decided, oh, well, we need to preserve ourselves and we want to take over Earth, and whatever. So now it's like they're trying to stop, I guess Shield's like foiled their plans, so they're trying to go back in time and like do stuff to stop Shield from existing and stuff like that. And Shield, they, they're chasing them, trying to help stop them and stuff like that. And there's some interesting stuff that happens. There's some fun episodes. Like they definitely like take advantage of like the, kind of some would say gimmicky, but it's their last season, so it's more of a, I think they were just trying to have fun with it, but they do tell it doesn't sacrifice the story. Like, was it one episode's completely in black and white? For example,
I'm seeing that as I'm looking through some of the images.
And there's another episode where they're like, they're like in the 80s or whatever, and you see all the funny stuff, 80s related stuff, and just it's a fun season, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really sacrifice the story. The story is fairly good. I'm on the record of saying I like Agents of Shield as a whole. I know some people like don't, but for the most part, I've enjoyed Agents of Shield like in its entirety for what it was. I've enjoyed the characters. Some of the stuff was kind of like, like some of the Inhuman stuff they did was kind of not the best, but that was at the time where Marvel was pushing Inhumans because they didn't own X-Men.
Right.
So, and they do some interesting stuff in this last season, going back in time and stuff like that. Like, what was it? They had the female scientist, the British scientist Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
They had her impersonate Peggy Carter when they were trying to get on trying to get on like Area 51 or whatever base.
Okay.
That was pretty funny, and that was a fun thing. And then like they had one of the guys from the Agent Carter show, Detective Sousa or Agent Sousa, the guy who like had the bum leg or the or the missing leg, I guess, from the war or whatever. He was in Dollhouse actually too.
He was.
But they had him like, he caught them and whatever. And there was a line where he's talking to Quake, Daisy Johnson, Sky, whatever you want to call her. Cause she's pretending to be from the CIA, but he's telling her like, oh yeah, we caught her, and man, what a horrible accent. And, stuff like that, where it's like, well, no, she actually is British. So no, but it just jokes like that and fun stuff. It was fun. I binged this in like a day. So, I definitely enjoyed it. And like I said, for the most part, it's fun, and they retouch on some of the other characters and stuff like that. Like, what was it? The dude who like recruited Ward back, like.
Oh, okay.
Like him, was it? He became like what was it? The end of the season, he went into the like Deathlock suit or whatever, and had this big thing, and then Coulson just came and just like shot him with a laser and killed him.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that part.
I don't.
They made it like he went into the machine to like get all powerful, and you thought it was going to be like an end credit thing. Like, oh, he's going to be a big baddie next season. And then Coulson's just like, oh yeah. And he just like kills him instantly. But he's back. Like, well, not him, but his younger self is back when they go back in time and stuff like that. Like they retouch older characters and stuff like that. They they got the someone else from Dollhouse. Funny enough, the one who played Quake's mother. I don't know if you ever,
Yeah, I can't place the face.
if you got to that far or not.
Okay, yeah. I do remember her face now.
Yeah. So they touch back on a lot of stuff like that, and it's pretty good. I really enjoyed it. And what was that? I was gonna say, was it and was it they kind of copped out bringing Coulson back. They brought his conscious back into like a LMD type, LMD life model decoy robot or whatever, because they did have a series, or they did have like a arc where they were in like the Matrix kind of, where they like their their conscious was inside a virtual world and all this and that, and so they like took because Coulson died again, and they make a joke where he's like, dying's kind of my superpower, and so they brought him back into like a robot or whatever, and they do some fun it looks like him, but it's a robot, and he's able to like fight the other robots and stuff like that, and they do some fun stuff with that. But also one of the best parts of that show is Ming-Na Wen as Agent May, or the Cavalry.
Right.
She's just she's so great. Like, just it's the fact that like you could tell she does her own stunts, and she's really that, like, that badass. I definitely appreciate her, and I'm glad we're seeing more of her in like shows like The Mandalorian and stuff like that. But yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the last season ended like, was it 2019, or was it, let's see. Or was it 2020? No, it was 2020. Okay. It ended in 2020. Man, 2020, it's just like you said, it was like the longest year. Like,
yeah, it was yeah, for many people it was simultaneously the longest and shortest year.
Yeah, but yeah, so this did end in 2020, so it's not that far off, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun, and they kind of like they do a good job like wrapping it up at the end, which is always, it's always a worry with shows like these that go on for a while. It's like, how are they going to wrap this up to where it's not just like, it's just, it just doesn't feel like, oh, it just ended, or, oh, we did this so we could end it. I feel like they did a good job. And that's, watching certain shows in the last, or in recent time, like Blind Spot, where the ending was garbage and I hated it, and it really taints the show for me. It's good to see like a good ending for a show,
Okay.
Because not all shows have good endings, There are a lot of shows out there
don't have endings.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good, and yeah. What do you got? I guess new stuff now, right?
Yes, and it's all anime.
Oh, okay. Well,
I watched a show called Noblesse. It's on Crunchyroll and Verve, because it's a Crunchyroll original. And I read this manga years ago. Like a good, like, I feel like it was like 5-6 years ago. I started reading this manga. And essentially what it's about is the main character is what they call a noble, which is somebody, I don't know if they age or not. They're not quite sure what they can do. I don't know how to explain it. They kind of see, like, they're not human. Let's put it that way. They're not human. And they see humans as something to protect. So they protect humans from themselves, I guess. I'm not sure. It's not really clear what they protect them from now. In the past, like, they protect them from, like, predators. Like, it was like they're like that old, like when, like, humans were still living, as in as like nomads, and like not really having they still were worrying about, like, getting eaten by bears and stuff. But I'm not sure quite how to explain this story, other than you got to watch it.
It's on my watch list, actually.
Okay. But just so you know, there is an OVA that you have to watch first. That is technically the first episode, and it is not dubbed.
That's kind of odd.
It is odd because it came out like 4 years ago. But that's the first, not 4 years ago, maybe 3. And that's the first episode. And then, like, years later, when they started making more, and they just literally took off from that point. It's called Noblesse Awakening. Because really, if you start watching the first episode, you're like, I feel like I'm missing something. That's because you are. And really, okay, what happens is they find this coffin. And for some reason, everybody wants this coffin. Like, the bad guys, who are modified humans that the nobles absolutely despise and want to get rid of. And the nobles want this coffin. Well, inside it is the main character. And he's apparently been asleep for 400 years. And he wakes up and finds his servant, Frankenstein.
Of course.
Yeah. Who is the principal of a high school.
Wait, what?
Yes. He is the principal and founder of this high school. And they come to the realization that, like, in order to learn about, what's really happened in the last 400 years, because, hey, the world's changed in that time, he should enroll in school and become a high school.
Of course.
And become a high school student. And hijinks ensue.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he's also one of these characters who has no emotion whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
So he's that type of person. But, like, seemingly what he can do is he can just like make anybody do what he wants them to, I guess. Because, like, whenever he's fighting an enemy, he forces them to bow. and like forcefully.
So is he a vampire or no?
No.
It's got that vampire-y vibe, like that image you got,
but
and then you're talking about glamoring.
Yeah, but he's not a vampire. But he's darn close. It's vampire-esque. And yes, he
and
can.
Like you said, you don't know how old he is.
He can control blood, and he's found in a coffin. Yeah, I totally get that. He pulls off this vampire vibe. And literally, when I was like, "Oh yeah, I read this manga," in my head, I'm like, "He's a vampire, right?" Because I remember that. Because I remember, like, I got such a vampire vibe from him, but he's not a vampire. But yes, he can control blood, which is actually really rare, even for nobles. That
interesting. Okay, so
that's really rare and really really powerful for even nobles to have that ability. So, and there's only 7 episodes that are dubbed right now. So,
okay. Is it airing like? Is the dub airing like now, or is it
yes? Because actually, no, I think there's 8. Because when I started watching, there were 7, and by the time I got to that point, there was 8.
Gotcha. Okay, I do have this on my watch list, so I will check out that OVA first.
Yes.
Glad you told me about that.
Yeah, because I started watching, I'm like, I started watching, I'm like, there's something missing. I'm missing something. I know I am. Is there another series? So yes, I found that there's an OVA that needs to be watched first.
Animes can get confusing like that.
Yeah.
Like some animes where it's like it's not the same. Like each season is has a different like colon whatever. So
right,
then you're trying to figure out like which is season 1 and
yeah.
I've definitely been there before where I'm like, well, I'm watching a new anime and I'm like, this is season 2. I need to find out which is season 1. That's definitely has happened to me a few different times, not just once.
Yeah, when I find anime, sometimes I'll type out the name in like the search bar and like, okay, is there another series that this also goes by? Okay, there is. Which is the first one?
And it doesn't help that all the anime like apps and whatever are garbage. Like,
for the most part, yeah.
Like the Verve and Funimation and like they're just all not great. Like,
no. The best one, Netflix. That one actually works. That one actually works.
I mean, it's not necessarily like it working. It's just like trying to navigate and trying to find stuff on them is where I have the most issue. Like playing this content isn't necessarily
Verve can get it has an issue. And Funimation also just, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
And I've had problems with both players too. Like Verve likes to buffer it odd times or just not work it at sometimes too. Funimation also has that issue.
I've had issues, but it's not like some people claim that it's like unusable, and I'm like, well, that's not necessarily true for me, anyways.
No,
I'm able
it's
to
not.
use
It's not
them.
unusable. It's not great, but
yeah. Like when you have like a Hulu or a Netflix that just works, and is for the most part easy to navigate and stuff like that. Like for Verve and all those others, like I've got to like go on the website and find stuff and add it to my queue that way, and then I can go on like the Roku or Xbox app or whatever I'm watching.
Verve. When you look it up, like, oh, it's got 7 seasons. Oh no, each one is a dub in a different language. Like, that's not how you should do that.
Yeah,
that's not how you should do that.
You're exactly right. That's another issue that is very confusing. Like, exactly. I forgot about that until you just said that.
Well, like, no, please. I looked, I was like, 7 seasons? How the hell have I missed this show? No, it's different languages.
Yeah.
Like, that's not.
It's like, really? It's dubbed in Russian? What? Like, you get some of those where you're just like, oh, okay, wow. I did not expect that. Yeah.
Yeah, Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, English, and Japanese.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so I'll definitely check this out. I'm thinking I'm gonna jump into some anime. Like, I have so many I need to start watching and stuff like that. I just for whatever reason I was just watching sci-fi stuff for the last couple weeks. I get into those like I feel like watching anime, so I'll watch anime for like 3 weeks straight. Or
right.
I want a space show, so I'm gonna watch sci-fi space shows for and it's just I get into those moods. I guess that's how you call it.
Yeah. Okay. Then what other sci-fi show do you watch then?
The Doctor Who special.
Oh, okay. How was it?
Revolution of the Daleks. It was it was fun. It was a fun adventure, but it was a mess. Like, was it what was it? Everyone's favorite, like, I guess from, what was it? I think it was from her first season, Jodie Whittaker's first season, where they had the Trump character. He's back in it.
Don't remember.
It was like the spider episode, I think. In the first season, it was like the spider episode, and they had like this character is Trump. Like, there's no,
I kind of remember the spider episode.
He's a Trump character, where he's Trump. Like, they even talk about him running for president and stuff like this and that. But the whole thing with this is like, I guess kind of spoilers. The Doctor is in this space prison, whatever.
Okay.
That's what happened at the end of the season or whatever. And Jack is breaking her out, and it's kind of goofy the way he breaks her out. Like, he like uses this thing where it like creates like a bubble, it's kind of like a hamster ball that like he throws this, or he puts this thing down, or he uses this thing that kind of puts like a giant hamster ball around them.
Okay.
That allows them to get through, that allows them to like go through walls. I mean, there's like kind of a more science explanation for it.
Honestly,
it looks goofy.
Honestly, that tracks with Captain Jack. That tracks.
It really looked goofy the way they were like running in this like hamster ball type thing. But Captain Jack, I mean, John Barrowman as Captain Jack was great. He does reference how he's immortal and stuff like that. So I'm glad they got that out of the way, and he does talk about, like, he does reference, how, like, he basically references how, like, Rose, took the heart of the TARDIS or whatever, brought him back to life, all that stuff, So it's always good when they like touch back on the lore, especially since they're fucking up the lore.
Especially if they're just washing it away and forgetting it.
Oh my God. You just, yeah. I won't go into that.
I have no idea. I know. I have no idea.
I won't spoil that stuff yet. I won't spoil that stuff, but yeah. So how did they get the Daleks? There's someone got their whole hands on a Dalek, and the Trump character is like using that to like create like security drones, or pretty much it wasn't Unit. I think they made a point to say like Unit is no longer a thing or whatever, like got defunded or something like that. Unit and Torchwood got defunded because the Doctor was like trying to end of last season trying to call, like she called the operator trying to get connected to like Unit or whatever, and the operator was like, oh, they got defunded or they're on a hearing for their budget, something like that. They made some weird reasoning why that they don't exist, but whoever was taking care of like the Dalek, I guess, from a previous episode or whatever, it got stolen, and then now the Trump character is using it to create drones and out of it. But the person who was the smart scientist person somehow found a small biological sample of the actual creature that's inside the actual inside the Dalek like shells or whatever, and like did stuff to bring them back, and apparently the Daleks are so smart that even like their essence or whatever can come back into it. It was very weird, them trying to explain it all, but so basically the Daleks are like toted out as security droids or whatever, and then the Dalek that came back from the guy trying to clone it or whatever, takes over him. I think we've seen that before, a Dalek taking over a human. I think we've seen that in Doctor Who before.
Yes, there was a human Dalek hybrid.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like he just takes over the dude to like he like.
Oh, okay.
Was it Ratatouille's him, kind of?
Okay.
And then he's actually secretly making changes to the the security drones or whatever, and actually making them full Daleks, whatever, and then also cloning more of them to whatever, and all. It's kind of a mess, like I said, but there are some fun moments to it. What was it? The thing that I kind of have issue with is there's like there's like some politician who makes a under the table deal with the Trump character. And it's like, oh yeah, you're about to be prime minister, and it skips ahead, and she's prime minister, and she's like unveiling the security drone or whatever, the systems which are the Daleks, and on TV and all this and that, and I'm like, didn't the Daleks like invade Earth and?
Mm-hmm. Couple times.
Shouldn't people remember what they look like? Because it has been multiple times, and you don't think they're, especially in like the UK of all places?
Yeah.
But no, they're just like, it just goes about like, this is like season 1 Doctor Who where no one knows who Daleks are or anything, it's just like that kind of. that doesn't sit well with me because, they have attacked the Earth and invaded multiple times, where they're flying around. It's not just like the Doctor knows about it and it's hush hush. No, we've had episodes where the Daleks are flying around and gathering people up and, doing all this stuff, and it was very weird. So yeah, it like I said, it's kind of a mess, but there were some fun moments like John Barrowman back, great, you know, just just a delight as Captain Jack, and some of the you know lines and stuff he says is great. Such a great character. But yeah, for it was is if you're analyzing it, like I said, it was just a mess. Like there's a lot of stuff. Like I was tripping up trying to explain it because it just sounds ridiculous explaining it. Like some of their stuff that they were trying to like I was saying, like the guy was cloning the Dalek from like a little, like the Dalek was, I guess, dead technically, and there was just a little bit of like genetic, DNA or whatever, and he was able to clone it. But I think the Doctor says like, oh, that even in its DNA, it can still like keep its conscious or like itself or whatever. Like it is just very weird. Like it's very very odd that they were it's like you could have wrote this a little differently to explain things to make it better. Like I don't know. Why couldn't it just have been a clone of it? Like why did it have to like remember what it was, and through its DNA and all this, and it's just very very weird. But yeah, Doctor Who. I'm sad. I'm sad when it comes to Doctor Who. Cause like Doctor Who was so good. And we were talking about this, I think, like not that long ago. I think it was was the last time we were recorded? Like it was either after or before
Yeah.
we actually recorded the podcast. We were like, remember when Doctor Who was good? Doctor Who was actually good. Like really good. And it's like I just, and it's such a shame because like the idea of a female doctor is great and awesome, and
Yeah.
I love it, and it's just like the fact that that we have a female doctor, and it's just not that great. The stories are not that great, and the I don't know that I don't know if it's necessarily her acting or if it's the direction she's given, like, but it just doesn't hit for me like all the others have,
Right. Yeah.
And like I said, it totally could be just the direction she's told to take or whatever. I think was it I think his name's Chibnall, the guy who did like Broadchurch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's that great. Like I think him being the showrunner is a reason, And I mean, like I said, like some of the episodes, I would much rather take like the multicolored Daleks over that episode type, stuff over some of these episodes we've had in, like the last season.
Yeah.
And was it the also like I've seen this is gonna be this upcoming season is gonna be Jodie Whittaker's last season, apparently.
I've heard that too. I've heard that
and
as
there's
well.
like I've been hearing about that for a while. Like she's done, which that's never good. Like, when you hear about they're done, they're gone, and way ahead of time, so I don't know. And like I said, the story, like this past season, the stuff like the lost or the timeless child and stuff like that, you don't really know what that means, but like I know what it means, and I'm mad about that stuff. It just takes Doctor Who lore and just like tries to change it completely. I'll just leave with that. Yeah. Without going into details and spoiling, but yeah, it just changed. They changed the lore of Doctor Who completely. And for a show that has such a rich history,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's just, it's not good. But yeah, it was for a one-off thing. It was fun, and I enjoyed some moments. But like when I really thought about some of the stuff, I kind of was like, oh, that doesn't really make sense in the history of Doctor Who and all this and that. And but like if you just like I guess if you can just turn your brain off and just watch it, just for just to have fun with it, it's not that bad.
I'll definitely
it's
watch
not
it.
That bad.
I'll definitely watch it at some point because I still have a HBO Max right now, so I can watch last season of Doctor Who, which I will at some point soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you about that then, about like the stuff they did.
Yeah,
it's a little upsetting. Yeah, it's got to the point where I'm like, I kind of been thinking about going back and watching the older, like the
watching
Eccleston and Tennant stuff.
Watching that stuff on New Year's, watching the older stuff, I'm like, oh man, I really loved this stuff. It was great.
Yeah, you definitely, Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat were definitely good for the series in the long run.
Yeah,
they were fans and they were actually good at it, and I don't think Chibnall is. I don't know. I think he's taking a bit too much liberty with it and trying to make things his own a little too much. And it's kind of showing. But alrighty, what else you got?
Let's see. I've got a show. This is not new. This came out in 2018. Completely missed it. Classroom of the Elite. It is about this high school who is like the top of the top, government funded, elite high school in Japan. Like every single student that comes out of it, is the 100% guaranteed to get into the college of their choice, which then leads to 100% employment in the field of their choice. It's kind of the best of the best.
Okay.
And they're basically, they live on campus, and like everything is on campus, like where they live, all the stores, the entertainment, all that stuff is on campus. They have limited access to the outside world. And the school actually pays them, a set of points to live off of. And their points are based off of their grades, doing stuff that's looked well upon in society. But they're not told this right away. They're just told they're given their first amount, which is like 100,000 yen, worth of points, which is essentially it's $1,000.
Okay.
And they're told they're paid every month. And then they, the main classroom, Class D, they blow through all their points. They buy expensive, laptops, gaming system, games, accessories, all that kind of jazz. Teacher doesn't seem to really care about, stopping students from sleeping in class, on their phone, talking, or even showing up for class. The teacher doesn't seem to care. Well,
okay.
First of the month rolls around and they don't get paid. And that's when they find out, well, yeah, that's because you were sleeping in class, not showing up for class, all that stuff. All of the points you were allotted, you have ruined them all. So, and that's when they find out that, oh, okay, this is they have to work for it, and they are in last place. They're Class D, and there's actually, that usually doesn't mean anything, except in this case it does. It means that they are the lowest of the lowest in the school.
Okay, interesting.
And as soon as your class accumulates more points than Class C, then that class becomes Class C, and then B, and then A, and the main character, also one that kind of doesn't show any emotion at all. He's that type of character, but his interest exam, all the quiz he takes, 50%. That's what he scores every single time, 50%. So that he's smart enough and he knows everything to get 100%, but doesn't want to stand out.
Gotcha.
He's incredibly intelligent, but doesn't want he doesn't want to stand out.
I mean, but you're in a place where everyone's kind of should be smart. So you are standing out, right? If you're
yes and no.
Not doing great.
I mean, he's not the lowest of the class. Like he is exactly middle in the class.
Oh, okay.
Like he's doing just enough to be in the middle.
Okay, so that's what you mean by 50. Like,
yeah. And like he even says, like, when they're introducing each other in class, like, I should probably use the energy to stand up and introduce myself, shouldn't I? Okay, energy. Okay. Like he just wants to do the basic minimum to do anything.
So sometimes those type of characters kind of get on my nerves. A bit. But
yeah, but it kind of it's
not all the time.
It's not annoying. It's not annoying in this case.
Okay. Because I've watched animes where where it has been pretty annoying. Like
it's not annoying. And the girl who sits next to him, she kind of has the mindset of anybody around her is going to take her, like if she has friends or allies, that will hurt her in the long run, that will cause her to not study, that will, distract her.
Okay. Yeah. Distract her. Gotcha.
Having friends, she has a loner personality, but she does kind of end up talking to the guy next to her, and he seems to be the only person she does talk to. But like and there are shenanigans ensue. There's one guy who is very quick to anger, quick to fight. Definitely, you know that type of person in anime. And he is about to get kicked out because he has low test scores. So there's a study group, and he does end up kind of passing with the help of this chick for some reason, because she thinks that she doesn't know what punishment the class will take if somebody is expelled. In the class is expelled. She doesn't know. She doesn't want to find out.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
her goal is to get to Class A, but she can't do it alone, and she knows it, and that infuriates her.
Well, your whole class would have to become Class A, right?
Yes.
You can't just get to Class A on your own.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean,
gotcha.
Although it is stated at the very beginning that the points can be used to buy anything in school.
Oh, okay.
And they come and in that part, because like that one student is about to get expelled because he is on the latest quiz, he missed it by less than a point for being able to stay in class. So the two characters, even shown here, go to the teacher and say, we would like to buy him one point on the quiz. And you're allowed to do that. It's expensive, but you're allowed to do that. And it's hinted at, if you have enough points, you can transfer to a different class. It's kind of hinted at that. So.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
It's an interesting anime.
It's another one on my list. I mean, I've got like so many animes on my watch list. Like,
right. And honestly, I'm not sure if the main character is a good guy or not.
How so? I mean, how do you mean? Like,
there's something about him.
Or is that spoiling?
There's something about him that I was like, I don't know why he's even there. Like you even said, like why did he even apply to this school if he doesn't want to stand out or anything? Why did he even come here? And I don't know. And it's kind of shown that I think he was. It's not even said, but there are some images. There's some scenes that are shown, like him as a child standing in this white room wearing this white gown, and being talked to over an intercom, as with like a line of other children in robes. And and the scene of his elementary school, it's a pure white room, white desk. They're wearing white clothes, and then just like desk and children start kind of like slowly kind of fading out, kind of like, oh, they're failing out, kind of a thing. And then he's the only one left. Like, what is this? I don't know. It's not explained. Is he a government experiment? What is he?
Okay.
Don't know.
Interesting.
And I want to say that's really a spoiler to the story, because that's never even brought up. It's just those scenes are just shown and never talked about.
Okay. Yeah,
so I don't know what he is.
I'll put this on towards the top of my list. Like I said, I feel like I'm going to be watching anime again. Like, for a chunk of time.
Okay, what else you got?
Well, something you've been wanting to talk to me or talk with me about.
Uh-huh.
The Mandalorian season 2.
Finally. Okay. I'm curious. You told me you watched the second season. We haven't talked about it. What were your thoughts?
It was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
It's like, I'm trying to, this was a little bit ago. Was it, very interesting. The whole, like, spoilers, the how much Boba Fett there actually was.
Yes. I was not expecting as much Boba Fett as there was.
And it was very clever how, like, the interaction between when we finally saw Boba Fett like interact with what's Katie Sackhoff's character, Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan, yeah. Like their group where it's like, oh yeah, he was a clone. Like he's not a actual Mandalorian. I kind of forgot about that because I try to purge the prequels out of my mind.
Sure.
For the most part, like it's just subconsciously. I guess I just forgot about that just because I try not to think about those movies. But yeah, it was interesting, their whole interaction, and it's like, oh, you're not really a Mandalorian, you're just I've heard your voice enough time, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool that they referencing the clone troopers.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a bit about Bo-Katan. She was actually the first character from the animated shows to appear in live action. Because she was a recurring character in Clone Wars and then again in Rebels.
She was the first in live action, though?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe so. I don't think anybody else from one of the animated shows, like there was from the animated shows to come to live action. She was the first.
I don't know. Yeah, I never watched any of those. I want
followed closely by Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say Ahsoka's voice was in Last Jedi.
That's true. Yeah, I guess.
Or no, not in the Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Yeah. But yeah, this is the first, and honestly, she looks kind of close to her animated character. Like it's like if you look up Bo-Katan and what she looked like in the animated show, like, oh no, yeah, she's got the hair, the hair bob and all. Yeah, that's it. But her sister was the former ruler of Mandalore. And it was her sister that it was basically, she was Obi-Wan's Padme. She was the character that Obi-Wan almost left the Jedi Order for.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And when her sister was killed in a coup, it was done by a rebel group called Death Watch. So when she calls when she says Mandalore, you're one of the Watch. She's talking about Death Watch. He was raised by this sect of Mandalorians who were dead set on following the old ways.
Yeah, they didn't make it seem kind of like his upbringing was kind of a culty version of the Mandalorians.
Yes,
in a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when she said the Watch, I'm like, oh my God, he's fucking Death Watch, and I was fucking blown. Like I was like, because like people were saying like, oh, it's just his clan that can't remove their helmets. That's why he's the only one that, you know, because we've seen Mandalorians take off their helmets all the time. And we now know that he was actually raised by Death Watch.
Yeah, it's a lot of interesting things. The name Grogu, I'm not like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I don't have an issue with that. Him eating all those eggs were horrifying. Like, oh my God, that was like, stressful to watch.
I really kept waiting for the mother to find out in some way, but she never did. And he kept eating them. Also, like, yeah, are you bad mother? Because shouldn't you know if that's like the last of your, like, shouldn't you know how many there are? Like, and she did have them all spread out when she was like in that hot tub or the hot spring like area. So, like, I don't know. Like, I would have, if I would not have just left that lying around like she did, you know, I would have had that with me if that was the last of what, you know, the last chance to. Honestly, it was really funny to see him secretly popping them later. Oh, you say funny. It was horrifying. Like, I found it funny. I found it funny. It was horrifying and stressful because it's like I kept thinking like she's gonna find out. She has to find out, right? But she never did. She never did. I kept thinking she was. So yeah, that was a little stressful. Yeah, it was really enjoyable. I liked it. The whole like. What did you think of the end? What did you think of the end? The credit scene or the Luke. I was talking about Luke. The Luke. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah. I kept thinking awesome. Like, I know they're trying to go for a Luke Skywalker. I'm like, then I can see the actor underneath it. Like, what's going on here? Like, it wasn't. Yeah, great. They did do CGI. It wasn't great, but I'm like, I can see Luke, but then again, I can also see the actor too. What's going on? It's jarring. Yeah. It was, if you're trying to like, because, you know, and the thing with that is like, when you know, it's like, you know, when you know there's CGI de-aging, you're looking at it more than you would if it was, you know, something else, you know? Yeah. Well, so de-aging works best, and Marvel found this out. De-aging works best when you're using the actual character, the actual actor, you're de-aging. Because the de-aging of Samuel Jackson in Captain Marvel was phenomenal. You didn't even know. Yeah. Like you never saw it because they used the actual actor that they de-aged. I agree. It was cool. It was definitely like a hype moment, you know, seeing him just wreck all those like. Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh my God, that is badass. Like, this is definitely, you know, this is definitely Luke at his like strongest. At his height, yeah. At his prime, absolutely. Yeah.
but it was good. I enjoyed it. I liked we got more team ups, you know, like when they captured Grogu originally, he went back and got help, and then we saw Bo-Katan and them come back and team up with Boba Fett and with Ming-Na Wen's character and like that big team. The thing that kind of shocked me was like, where'd that one dude go?
One dude,
because there was 3 of them. With Bo-Katan and
yeah, there was a dude.
3 of them.
There was a dude with him.
Where was the dude?
He disappeared.
Where'd he go? I was kind of questioned that for a second. Like, where'd he go? Like, just odd thing right there. But yeah, the whole what's it called? The Dark Blade?
What's
it called? Dark Saber.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole twist.
I need to look in on that because that's odd.
Apparently that's like legit though. That's like actual like.
Well, Sabine literally handed it over to Bo-Katan in Rebels. I remember this. I've seen that episode. She literally just went, "Okay, here to Bo-Katan, you have this." There was no fight.
Really? Huh.
There was no fight. Like, what's going on?
That's odd then.
There was no fight.
Yeah.
So why could she do that then and can't just take it from Jaren now?
I don't know. It may be because he did fight and won it. Maybe it's a thing of.
I don't know.
It was recent, so.
Yeah.
Or because it was stolen and then it was reclaimed by him. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. Yeah. It's odd. But yeah, it's interesting. Don't know. Like, and so we're there is gonna Mandalorian season 3 is its own thing. It's not.
Yes.
The story or the book of
Boba Fett
is different.
It's different. It's not. Okay. It's not Mandalorian season 3.
Okay, I heard a lot of people like speculating that might be the thing or it might be the case.
No,
I've heard a lot of mixed things.
Why it's confusing because it kind of does look that way with that end credits, but no.
Yeah, there's some.
They didn't announce it as a show during the investor whatever because it was so close, because like the last episode and that investor call was so close that they just did not announce it there and waited to announce it at the end credits.
Gotcha. Because I heard like someone was saying, oh yeah, the book of Boba Fett, and then that'll be an arc, and then the next will be Bo-Katan, and people were saying that could be the instance and whatever. And like I said, it's just the timing of that and their announcements and stuff with the like it was just caused a lot of confusion.
Yeah, I can see that, and it has been clarified that no, the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 3 different things. But
yeah,
we'll get the Book of Boba Fett, and then the year later we'll get Mandalorian season 3.
So I thought they were coming out around the same time, or not that far apart.
From what I heard, they're gonna offset each other by a year.
Huh, okay. Yeah, Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 3 are expected to premiere to December 2021.
I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? We'll know more when it gets closer. But I'm
just glad we're seeing more of what his name's Din, right?
Din Djarin, yeah.
Din, yeah. I'm glad we're seeing more of. We're gonna have more of him. Is what I'm mostly getting at.
Yeah, but
I do like his character.
What's Mandalorian gonna be without Grogu?
I mean, we'll see. You know,
like honestly, he was why so many people watched it. Was for
maybe there will be more Grogu. Who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Hopefully, we'll see though. But I kind of wish the first face reveal didn't happen. Because I feel like the second one was not as impactful because he had done it already.
He does it twice in this season.
Yeah, like I feel like it would have been so much more impactful to, when he showed Grogu his face. I feel like that would have been so much better, or like so much more meaningful than, since he was like, oh yeah, I taking this off to scan and then just gonna leave it off for a bit, like
yeah,
and all that. I personally would have liked him not to take it off at all, but I guess they kind of tie it into the story where, he learns that that's not necessarily the way of all Mandalorians. And
yeah,
I don't know. I just like the idea of the character, like of not seeing the face of the character and him being, like this badass, like figure, and you don't know what he looks like, and that whole like concept. I really like that. I felt like that really worked well in the show. All these people, like, they have relationships with him, but they don't know what his face looks like. I mean, it's I don't know. It just worked. I really like that whole aspect of it, but I do see, it's the whole like, like people criticize the Flash because he never wears his mask because the actor doesn't want to have to cover his face up all the time. Actors don't want to cover their faces. They want to be able to,
right.
They want to be able to be seen and whatnot. And I'm just like, well, and I think that there was reports that, Pedro Pascal, had issues with that. It's like, well, you knew what you were getting into when you signed up for it.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
It's not like you didn't read the script beforehand.
Yeah. So, a great show. I enjoy it. I can't wait for more. Like, I can't wait for more Star Wars shows, more of these Star Wars. You're going to get
a ton of them, apparently.
Shows. Yeah. As long as they're done right, like this,
Yes.
That's the main thing. Like, they have to be done well. Okay, but yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it. I binged it in like practically a day.
Yeah,
which was kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to wait for it all to kind of come out and be able to watch it all.
I didn't catch this at the time, but did you catch there was a reference to a New Hope when Luke looks down the barrel of the lightsaber and everybody says, "What the fuck are you doing?" And everybody kind of makes fun of the fact of what that's the dumb thing to do.
No, I didn't catch that.
When Grogu is playing with a darksaber, I forget his name, Moff.
Tarkin.
Nope. That's
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon
says, "Nope, you're too young to play with that. You'll take an eye out."
No,
It was literally a reference to that scene in New Hope.
God, Giancarlo Esposito is such a good bad guy actor.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen like people like there's been the rumors of him as Professor Xavier, but it's like no, I want to see him as Magneto. Can you imagine him as Magneto? Oh my god, that would be insane! Like insanely good. And I feel bad for him because like all of his characters are evil, like bad guys. Like
I feel like Gary Oldman kind of has the same issue because like his best characters have been villains.
he was Gordon, Commissioner Gordon.
His best characters have been villains.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying he didn't play,
Okay, yeah.
But I'm saying his best characters have been villains.
Yeah. I mean, but if it works, it works.
Yeah.
And I think it's harder to be a villain character, as an actor.
I feel like you get to have a little more fun as a villain.
True, but like essentially you're trying to get people to hate you, And I feel like that's like, I feel like that could like really mess with some people,
I think that all depends on what it is. On if you're trying to get people to hate you or not, or if you're trying to be a sympathetic villain.
I guess, yeah. I mean, his characters definitely are not sympathetic.
No, they're not.
You want his characters to be dead. You hate him, so you hate his character from Breaking Bad to Moff Gideon to he was in the latest season of The Boys. He's been in a bunch of other stuff as just kind of villain type characters. And I think it's impressive, like to be that good at being a villain character to where like you're disliked, by the audience. So yeah, yeah. So what else you got, Stuart?
Before we leave, a lot there's rumor that I mentioned this character from Rebels already, Sabine, who is the Mandalorian in the show Rebels. There's a rumor that she was actually a character in the show in season 2, but was never identified.
Really? Okay.
What some people or the rumor is, or I should say the conspiracy is that the chick who told Moff Gideon we have found the child or the asset or whatever. A lot of people were saying that was Sabine. I'm like, where are you getting this? What? Why? There's no hint that she's Mandalorian. There's nothing.
Seems kind of weird.
Where are you getting this? Also, she should be older. But I just want to point that out. Okay. Another anime that I have is called Akudama Drive. And this is still it's still currently being put out in dub form. It's all out in sub. And it takes place in a cyberpunk future. It was just pure coincidence that it was a cyberpunk future. I started watching this. And in this, like, there are people who are essentially, and again, pure coincidence, essentially what type of role that V played in Cyberpunk 2077, like the I can't think of like what mercenary type of person, who does also illegal work. They're called in this world Akudama, and they're kind of, not loved by the police. In fact, they're all, and there is a courier, there's a hacker, there's a cutthroat, there's a brawler, there's a doctor who is not a good doctor. There is, let's see, another one, a hoodlum and a swindler. And this is group that has been hired by this one person to do this impossible job. I'm still not quite sure what all they're trying to do, because it's going just by, they just kind of know what the next step of the job is. And the swindler of the group is actually a regular person who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. She was just happened to be at the police station when everybody else attacked to free the cutthroat from police, from actually getting executed. And they were going to be paid like $100 million to do this.
Okay.
And while in the police station, there was a cat that kind of came in during the confusion, and the main character really, she tried to get the cat to safety, and ended up kind of face to face with the bad guys. Like, well, there shouldn't be any witnesses, so they were going to kill her. I was like, no, wait, I was hired too. I'm a swindler, and they go with it.
Okay.
And they just kind of, okay. And for some reason, don't kill her, because they're all against each other at this point, because they all think, it's the first one to do this gets paid, and not them as a group.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense, I guess.
So yeah, so like they're all, all for themselves, but for some reason they don't kill her then and there. I don't know why. And she's just kind of dragged along on their adventures by this point. And then when they free the cutthroat, they get bombs put around their necks. Like, okay.
Oh God.
I'm hiring you. Oh, and it's the cat that's talking that she was trying to save. The cat then speaks like, oh, I'm actually a robot, by the way. So I'm actually the person who hired you. And yeah, we're going to do this job together. And if you don't want to go along with it, that's fine. And I can just release the bomb now and it'll explode. Like, well, okay, I got to go with it now.
Was this some sort of Suicide Squad? No.
And not really, because but bomb on the neck, sure. I get it. Actually, yeah. I get a very, like, the art style and some, like, what goes on. Just really the art and some of the animation reminds me so much of, oh shit, I had it. Give me a second. Danganronpa. That anime.
Oh, okay.
It has like that style to it, which I loved.
It does. That image does. Yeah, it does seem to have that style.
Well, especially the eyes. The eyes really kind of I get a Danganronpa feel. And it wasn't until I was looking up the image, I just happened to look on Wikipedia, and it said that the creator of Danganronpa wrote this anime. Like, oh,
okay,
that makes total sense.
and the color palette too, definitely.
Yeah, a little bit.
I can see it.
Transitions are actually a thing in this, and they're really cool. Because like they come in sections, like you'll see like the ground come in, and then a building pop up. Oops, hit the mic. Then like the building pop up and the sky fall down, and like, okay, that looks really cool. Or like the skyline, like one section the buildings pop up, next section, sky. Like it looks really cool, and I like it. And that's what really got me like, that's a very like Danganronpa look to it. And I was already thinking Danganronpa before I even looked this up. So I'm like, I was right. I caught on to something. Yay.
Nice.
But I'm only on episode 4 because that's all that's out right now. But it's interesting, and I will continue watching this.
Cool. Let's see. Last thing I got. Oh, carefully. I don't know what my dog was doing over there. He whimpered. I don't know if you heard that or not.
Yep.
Yeah. The last thing I got, Wonder Woman, 1984.
Yeah. We've both watched this.
Speaking of hot messes, this movie seemed like a mess to me, anyways. I don't know exactly how you felt about it. I think you liked it more than me.
I think I do. I think I did like it more than you did, but I didn't think it wasn't as good as the first one. And I went into this knowing nothing. Like I didn't look up like the cast. I was surprised by like, oh, Cheetah. I wasn't expecting Cheetah.
I knew that. I knew Cheetah was in it.
I didn't even know that.
Just from like looking up news articles and stuff and seeing that, like, you know, stuff like scrolling by stuff like that. But yeah, boy, man, this was just, I don't know. I don't know where to start with this movie. I guess, what did you like about it? I mean,
honestly, I thought, like, surprisingly, I thought that I'm drawing a blank on names. Why am I drawing a blank on names? Give me a second. Looking up. Kristen Wiig. Oh God, couldn't think of her name. I thought Kristen Wiig actually was really good in this.
I mean, she was all right, but I feel like, you weren't really like, you weren't really that ugly or unattractive, or
that was also no. I'm talking about like
really
her performance. Like, there are fucking plot holes in this that are a mile fucking wide.
Yeah.
But I thought her performance was really good. I thought her performance was good, and I thought like not seeing her in a comedic role like she usually plays was good, and that she actually did really well.
She had some good moments, yeah, definitely. I'll say that.
But the plot holes in this movie though are insane.
Like, it's got to be one of the worst. Like, one of the like, it's not, you know, we know the trope of, the smart brainy whatever, and then she becomes actually attractive, but like it's got to be one of the worst ways they dealt with that because she was not like unattractive originally, or
they did the ugly duckling trope poorly because I mean honestly Crystal May was good looking, but they didn't make her ugly.
And see, I saw someone mention this. They do the poor job with that kind of stuff in Hollywood recently, like in superhero movies. Like you look at Iron Man 3 with what's his name?
Oh I know who you mean.
Aldrin Killian, the guy who played him, or Aldrin Killian.
Yep.
I can't think of the actor's name, but yeah, like
knock off Val Kilmer. Because to me he looks like Val Kilmer.
Yeah. Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got Jamie Foxx as Electro.
Yeah.
Like those just are not good. Like they go too far with those, you know?
Yeah, they either go too far or not far enough to be believable. And this was one of the cases where they didn't go far enough to be believable.
Exactly. And it's just like when she's trying on the dress or whatever, you're like, what do you mean? Like,
have you never
nothing happened.
Right.
Nothing changed. I don't know. Like,
yes. Like
you're the same. Like
you're the exact same. It's not because she got powers that she can do that. Nope. She was the exact same before.
Yeah. I also feel like there could be a much better movie hidden in this if it wasn't as long. This movie dragged, I thought.
A little bit. Okay, the plot hole that just sticks out to me is okay, let's go to the Smithsonian where there's fully fueled jet sitting on a runway that doesn't exist in the actual Smithsonian to take off, and then okay, you turn it invisible jet, cool. But then like, oh look, what are those? Oh, fireworks that have been around for 1,000 years. Okay. And let's fly at them, because they're not just explosions. No, you can't. No.
And wouldn't radar still technically work? Even if it's invisible, because isn't radar like it's bouncing off like?
Well, there's nothing to bounce off of.
But I mean, it's still there. The plane's still there physically. It's just you can't see it. You can't see through it. Right?
I don't know how her radar works. So
yeah, there's just a lot of weird magic stuff where it's just like, oh, okay, I guess. And then it's like, Pedro Pascal, like his character was, geez, his character was weird.
I didn't understand his motivations.
I think he did a good job. I just think it was not like, I think he did a good job. It's what he was trying, what the character, was. I don't think the character was great.
Yeah.
Like,
again, I didn't quite understand what he was trying to do. Once he got to a point, what is he doing now? Because like it seemed like his goal was to become like a big oil magnet, and then he quickly became that. And then I guess greed took over, and he wanted more. That wasn't clear.
Yeah. And then where was I going to go next? Oh, one of the most weirdest kind of creepy things was like, you don't care that he's just like Steve Trevor is like what happened to the other guy that he's possessing his body?
Yeah. There's also that.
You don't care. You don't care at all. And you're just like eating his Pop-Tarts and like sleeping with it. Like
sleeping with him.
I've heard some people like, go on like, oh, that's rape.
It was like that's kind of,
like,
yeah.
There's been people who have, I mean, I'm not like super gung ho, like, oh, that's horrible and blah, 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 but I'm
it's
like,
borderline. It's borderline then.
It's very weird and kind of uncomfortable when you think about it. And, just doesn't make sense with her character.
And the fact that when she first meets him, she doesn't see Steve Trevor. So that means she's not seeing Steve Trevor the entire time? Or does she then now see him as Steve Trevor? That's never explained.
Exactly.
Because well, at one when they first meet, she doesn't know him. But then later on, she says, I only see you. Like, okay, do you actually only see him? Or is that just a line you just said?
I would initially think that like that's just a line, but this was the whole like, oh, she killed the dude thinking he was Ares, and then the war still kept going on and all this and that, and then we actually do get the real Ares in a bad CGI fight scene and like crazy confusion in the first movie. So maybe I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of like weird stuff with this movie, and I still think some of the CG stuff looks weird. Like when she's jumping around and stuff like that, it just looks weird to me. It just looks off-putting. Like when she's jumping really high or running or stuff like that, it just something about it looks weird to me. I've never, thought it looked great. Her like super abilities looked the best. And what's the other thing? The when they went to, did they go? They went to. They didn't go to. Was it Egypt or?
Yes.
Where did they go? Yeah,
I think it was Egypt.
That whole thing was kind of weird. Especially because it's like, hey, I'm going to shoot this missile and you're going to automatically know to lasso it and do the like just. And those kids would have been hurt. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Her rolling on the ground that hard with the kid, like, it wasn't like she like skidded on her back. She rolled around with grabbing those kids. Like, I was like, kind of, I was shocked.
Also, the sudden movement of those kids, like they would have gotten whiplash at least.
Oh, easily. And it's like. No, it's also like nobody remembers this in the world, like all that stuff that happened, like
right that later. Well, it's not really. It's not really. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we can hack all the broadcasts and it's touching. Oh, touching? It's touching everybody? Like, well, no, that's not really how it works. I did hear someone say like that explanation, because he does go to someone and says, "Don't you wish this would work for me?" That I could see kind of
maybe
being a way to kind of solve that one plot hole situation. But like also like, how'd she get the second wish to become actual Cheetah?
Oh no, that's actually explained in the movie. like that's actually the one it's not a plot hole that people are pointing out. That's not a plot hole because he says during his give me all your health or whatever, so he can become immortal, I guess.
Yeah, and give it to her,
give all your rage and malice to her. That's what happens. That's not a second wish that she gave. That's actually one that he said to do. That's not a wish.
Yeah, but like I don't know. It's just
that's like the one thing I was like, people are pointing as a loophole or as a plot hole. I'm like, no. That was not. There are many others that you can point out, but that's not one of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, and just man, it's like I said, like this. I feel like this was like, like if this was cut differently and some stuff was taken out, and I feel like there's a better movie in it, and it's funny because I told you, like, I was watching like right before, or no, right, it's like right after I watched this or whatever, it was like a ad on YouTube and it was like certified fresh on Rotten, and I'm like, no, it's not. You need to take that ad down because
I've false advertising.
I've seen other ads since, and no, they did take those ads down because I've seen other ads where they don't say that anymore. It's at 60 right now, so it's like barely fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's like 70 something audience score, but
yeah, last time I looked, it was
74,
which is about kind of where I put it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would put in the 60s for sure. Like, there were good parts. There were decent parts, yeah, but there was a lot of like really rough plot hole stuff, and it's like, the one. It's like this would be considered like a horrible movie if this was like Marvel. Like Marvel put out something like that,
The talking about scenes that kind of dragged on. I think that Chekhov's race that was at the beginning of the movie was too long. It was too fucking long.
Oh yeah, the her as a kid type thing. Yeah,
right. Where she cheated, I guess, by not hitting the second, or to all learn the one thing, like cheating doesn't get you anything. If I guess, I don't know. I don't remember the actual message that she needed to win the day at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like you can't just take the easy way. You've got to do things
that was it.
Proper way. Yeah, and that's the whole, like, she can't just let Steve stay. She's got, it's not the right thing to do. All this and that, and
yeah, that race went on a little too long.
It did, and then like what was those final hoops or whatever? I'm like, oh, they're gonna have to jump through it. No, they didn't. I was like, oh, that kind of. But yeah, it did go on for quite a bit, and I just that armor costume, like, that didn't really last long, right? Like,
no.
She fought with it and then she took it off pretty quickly because she's like, oh, this is kind of impractical. Let me take this off now. And,
the wings won't fit through the doorway.
Yeah, right? Like, what? Like, but, and was it the cheetah CGI didn't look all that great?
Like, no, it didn't. And I was like, is that even still Kristen Wiig? I don't know. Because it didn't look like her anymore.
Yeah, I mean, but I've seen a lot of people compare it to the Cats, and it's like, yeah, it did look better than that, but like, that's not really saying much because.
Well, they did
horrifying.
They did the best thing you can do when you don't have a lot of time to do with CGI, and that's they put it in the dark.
Yeah, it's true.
So we didn't actually get a good look at it because it was in the dark the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. It just like, like and the mall scene was kind of weird too. The beginning where she's just like, she's like telling the kids, shh. Well, I mean, okay, great, but there's all these
There's
other
all the
people
other
in the
people
mall
who see you,
like,
and you don't wear a fucking mask, by the way. So your identity
and
is very
like,
clear to see.
and yeah, you took out the cameras, but not right away.
Right.
Like
So
you,
they saw
like,
you beforehand.
yeah,
So
like
there's still
I
footage
can
of you.
understand like the saving the kids in Egypt or whatever, telling them not to tell, like, because there wasn't that many people around. I can understand that, but yeah, that mall, like there's so many people around, like there was a lot of people there, and it just felt kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I was expecting a lot more from this movie, you know,
Yeah.
considering the first one was, was a good movie. Minus the third act. That third act was that CGI battle scene was so. I feel like that movie would be so much better if that was taken out, and we never actually saw her fight Ares, and her realize that no, it isn't Ares controlling humankind. Humans just are like that, and they're not. This whole like thing she's put on a. I just yeah. I did like when they looked at the photos. You saw what's her name? Like you saw a photo of her with uh her Steve's like assistant,
yeah.
but like as she was old.
Old lady.
Like,
Yep. I thought I like that
yeah,
too. I like that too.
I did like that. I thought that was nice. But yeah, there were some good parts to it, but there were, like you were saying, there were some plot holes that were like a mile wide, and
Yeah.
it felt more like it felt more of what the other DC movies were as far as quality versus what Wonder Woman was originally. Like, I do like the cameo at the end. That was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, man, there was there was a lot to that movie, a lot that was just like yikes. And like I said, like it was the fact that it was like so hyped up, and it was like, oh, it's going to be on HBO Max, same day, and make, and just, I wonder if that's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if maybe watching it on Christmas Day, being hyped up about it, also kind of affects. I mean, it does affect my feelings on it. Of course, it does. But it was something. It's not something I'm gonna be going back and watching anytime soon, for
No.
sure. And and it also was it the first one in the first one she talks about how it's like she gave up on man or something like that, right? Like in the little intro where she's like gets the letter from Bruce, and she's like, it's been so long since I've, what, and then we see her like crime fighting and stuff like that in the 80s, and it's like, well, that kind of contradicts what you said. There just seemed to be a lot of that kind of stuff where it's like, stuff that was recently established is like kind of, they go against that in this. And but yeah, that's the last thing I got to talk about was the Wonder Woman 1984, which
Same.
just yeah, was really a mess in my opinion for the most part. There were some. I did enjoy some. Some parts were good. I did have fun with some parts, but like, I expected a lot more from the movie, and I think a lot of people did. I think, this was looked forward to by a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So, did you have anything else?
I do not. Nope. That was my last thing as well.
Okay, nice. This definitely turned out to be a longer episode. But I think our previous kind of shorter ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Be sure to check us out on the GeeksFTW.com. Links, to all the places you can follow us: Twitch, YouTube, Discord, Twitter. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at the GeeksFTW. Stuart is at Casual Terror, and I am at WillPlayGames_. And we will catch you next time.
And remember, no animal or how to make this podcast.